ninth-seeded Wichita State takes on top-ranked Louisville. That's Kevin Ware's team, the player who brutally broke his leg last weekend. And just before 9 p.m., Syracuse goes up against Michigan. Stay with us all day for the latest on the big games. To politics now, in Maryland. It's become the latest state to act on gun control. The legislature passed a bill that bans 45 types of assault weapons and cuts out all high-capacity magazines in the past 2 weeks. Colorado and Connecticut have also passed similar new gun laws. Joining me now is CNN contributor Maria Cardona and Amy Holmes, anchor of Real News at the Blaze. Maria, with the state stepping up, do we even need new federal gun control laws?
Good morning, Miguel. Good to see you. I do think we need federal gun control laws, and this is the reason, Miguel. I think it's great that the states are actually listening to majorities of the American people, which do support stricter gun safety laws. But the problem is that if we don't do it at the federal level, then what we have is guns going across state lines. And that will diminish the controls that are being put in place by these states, who are the ones who are doing the common sense measures that most Americans agree with. So if we don't have the umbrella laws at the federal level, for example, here in the district, we have some of the strictest gun control laws, but they are not as effective as they could be, because criminals will go across the state line in Virginia, where it's very easy to get a gun. And that's why it is not as effective if we don't have the federal law controlling everything.
Amy, your thoughts? Should this be a states' rights issue?
Well, let's look at it practically, politically speaking. We see in the Senate that the Senate Majority Leader, Harry Reid, himself a Democrat, has no intention of trying to push for a ban on assault weapons or even limitations on high-capacity magazines. So in terms of whether or not a federal law will get passed, I think we sort of know the answer to that. On a policy level, we've also seen that criminals buy guns illegally. They don't buy them legally. So I think from state to state, citizens have the right, the ability, and should have the prerogative to determine what their state's gun culture is going to be. And that's going to be very different whether you're living in Washington State, my home state, or Louisiana, or New York City, where I live now. And I think that these things should be decided by citizens. It is a Second Amendment right to bear arms. Certainly there are limitations, but I don't think we should have a one-size-fits-all, because frankly, it doesn't fit the criminals. The criminals, you know, they're not willing to put on these straitjackets to get the guns that they want to use in crime. And by the way, these gun laws would not have stopped that terrible, horrible young man in Connecticut from committing the crime that he did.
Now, this week, President Obama's Secretary of State John Kerry, Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel, and Attorney General Eric Holder all agreed to give back part of their salaries. It's a stand for solidarity with federal workers who are being furloughed because of forced spending cuts. Is this a good move or just political theater? Amy?
Political theater. Washington is a master at it. Kabuki theater. But as a political matter, I think that, you know, maybe it was a bit of a misfire, because it draws attention to the fact that our president, like many before him, is a multimillionaire. This is a man who 5% of his salary, it comes up to about, I think, $1,600 a month, means very little. It also draws attention to the fact that he likes to go golfing. He goes golfing with Tiger Woods. His family's continually on vacation. Why didn't he show the same solidarity when unemployment reached over 10% during the Great Recession? We just had those terrible jobs numbers yesterday. So just as a bit of Washington political theater, I think that it wasn't very well stage managed.
Maria, do you agree? Kabuki theater here?
No, absolutely not. Look, are these moves going to completely fix our budget crisis? Absolutely not. But that's not what they're meant to do. They are meant to underscore what this president, what Democrats have said for a very long time, and that is that we are all in this together. And that Democrats and leaders, especially the president on down, they are not immune to shared sacrifice. So I think from a symbolic standpoint, it does mean a lot. Because you know what? You know, Amy may say $1,600 is not a whole lot. To a middle-class family who is struggling, it is a lot. And I think that's what this move underscores, the fact that Democrats and this president want to continue to do something to fix our budget woes, and to focus on the fact that right now, the people who are suffering the most on their backs are middle-class families and working-class families whose programs are being cut. by the sequester. Republicans are doing nothing
the president
to
has
try
not
to
gotten
fix
any
this.
mileage out of this.
Republicans have done nothing to fix this, and this focuses on the president saying this is shared sacrifice and we're all in this together.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see where this one goes because they still haven't figured out the sequestration issue. But it was a bad week for both Obamas making off-the-cuff remarks. First, we had the First Lady.
Leave me as a busy single mother, or I shouldn't say single, as a busy mother. Sometimes it, you know, when you got the husband who's president, it can feel a little single, but he's there.
All right, and then earlier in the week, the president was at an event in California and took time to praise the state's attorney general. After talking about her professional success, he added that she's one of the best-looking attorney generals. She's the best-looking attorney general in the country. Which comment caught your ear there, buddy?
I think both of these comments were just completely innocent and have been completely overblown. I haven't heard a lot of reporting on Michelle Obama's comments, so I do think that that was just a slip of the tongue, and anybody who has very busy husbands understands what she's going through. And the president's comment is, in my mind, into the category of, oh, please. Come on, we have so many more important things to focus on. And, you know, when the president can't give a nice compliment to one of his closest friends, to one of his best friends, after he commends her on being a very tough and talented attorney general, then I think we've gotten to the point where we want our president to be human, but the moment that he is, then, you know, everyone's on his back. It's just ridiculous.
Amy, does the president get a pass here?
I say that he does, and I agree that these are innocent remarks. And if he thinks that an attorney general is a pretty lady, big deal. I would like to see the forbearance on the other side. Let's face it. If a Republican made these remarks, Democrats would be all over them. We'd be hearing about binders full of women, as we did during the last election, instead of the compliment in an innocent, human way, as Maria said, as it was intended.
All right, Maria Cardona and Amy Holmes, thank you both very much.
Thanks, Miguel. Good to see you.
Third grader Robbie Novak, known as Kid President, is getting a ton of online attention. Take a look why.
Kid President, what grade are you in?
Third.
Third?
Mm-hmm.
Third grade? Mm-hmm. Yeah. How's school going?
Good.
It's going pretty good? Okay, so because I know you've got all these other activities.
Yeah.
So much demands on your time trying to balance being president and being in the third grade. You know, that's a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. But you seem to be handling it pretty well.
Very well.
The White House pulled off an April Fool's joke prank on Monday with the help of the 9-year-old YouTube sensation. It began with the White House tweet announcing a special video message